Welcome to Waking Up. I'm Juliana Forlano in the studio with
King Downing. Good morning.
Rhonda Handsome is also joining us today in the studio. We got a three-person hosting going on today.
Threesome.
It's going to be chaos.
I love it.
King's in the middle. By the way, it's 99.5 FM, WBAI. If you want to watch the threesome, you can watch it live on the internet right now. Go on my Facebook page.
It'll be more fun than a Kevin Hart car crash.
I hope. Hey, we have a lot going on. Alexander Kaufman is joining us today, and we're going to be talking about the election down in Virginia, what did and didn't happen. It's going to be 90 degrees and humid once again today, so prepare. I was sweating at 70 yesterday. I don't know what's going to happen today. Stay tuned. Welcome to the show, everybody. So happy to have another new guest in our studio with us at this beautiful hour of the morning. Rhonda, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm delighted to be here.
Now, Rhonda was on the show. I think it was last week? Gosh, the days they run past me, but only via telephone because you were doing the Laughing Liberally show.
Yeah, John Fugelsang's Laughing Liberally off Broadway.
How was it?
It was great.
It's
was
still
just
going
incredible. It goes on through the 21st of September. The audiences have been great and smart, politically aware, and just so much fun.
Like our show.
Absolutely.
Well, that's terrific. We're working on getting you some free tickets. We've had an agreement. We just have to have the tickets handed over before we can give some of the listeners some free tickets. But, if you have some cash, you could just go pay on the day that you want to go.
Yeah.
Support theater, support comedy.
Live comedy. Yeah.
Isn't it great to not be in a club?
Oh, well,
I
I love being on the stage no matter where I am. I'm just a ham.
You're my girl. We've performed many times together.
Oh yeah. I love being with you because usually we're doing something that is politically tinged.
I don't think we've ever been booked just just at like Stand Up New York.
Yeah, just
on the
for
random.
fun, just on the random, having
No.
two women on the same bill.
So let me ask a naive question. When you say perform together, does it mean you're on the same bill or that you're on the stage at the same time?
Same bill.
Same bill.
Stand Up's a solitary engagement.
We may have actually been on the stage at the same time with Randy Credico.
With Randy Credico.
Show.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
You never know what could happen there.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
I love that guy. I think I did Left Forum with him two maybe 3 weeks after I had the baby, and I brought the baby.
Yes,
remember?
you did. I love that.
God, that was fun. I think I made some C-section jokes back then.
How's the baby?
She's big. She went to preschool.
Ooh.
Big girl.
Oh, she's socializing.
Let me tell you, the baby is very upset this morning, and I'll tell you why. Because Dan Bishop, the North Carolina Republican, won that special election against Dan McCready.
He squeaked in.
I think, unfortunately, he did win. But the good news is that it was a 2% victory in a 12% Trump district. So we're showing that things are closing, That's I guess if you want to make yourself feel better, that helps.
We're
slightly.
not doing a happy dance, but yeah.
No. You remember this guy, right? He's, Trump went out and did a big rally for him.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Which he has taken all of the credit for his
Of course.
success.
I won. Anyway, that was a pretty bad fight down there. And it was the 9th Congressional District, and it brought an end to that political drama down there, the 2018 midterm race for the seat where Mr. McCready barely lost. He's the Democrat against a different Republican. And then that was in question for months because there was evidence of election fraud on the GOP side. The election was finally thrown out, which is an embarrassing conclusion for state Republicans who had carved the lines of the deeply red district with their good time gerrymandering that they like to do down there.
Well, now, how do we know that there wasn't some other kind of fraud going on at this
That's what
election?
I'm saying. I would just bet on. They're like, we'll do a light fraud. We'll do a 2% fraud.
Like milk, low-fat fraud.
Low-fat fraud. Excellent. I got a 3 a.m. text from Linda this morning who wanted me to make sure that I reminded everyone just a little bit about what this guy is all about, the guy down there.
That's our program director.
Linda's our program director. She's listening. This guy who won, Bishop, he got notoriety when Trump staged that rally in Greenville. Remember, he this is where Trump said that the you know that the folks in the, what are they calling them, the four women of color in our Congress, what do they call themselves?
The squad.
The squad.
Squad.
Yeah,
The mod squad.
they should go back to their home countries. That was the
Go back where they came from.
yes, exactly. Chanting "Send her back" was the whole group was that made big news, and so it brought that bishop, it brought that election up to national news. Anyway, very annoying. This guy backs a proposed border wall with Mexico. He accuses people who don't like Trump, of trying to destroy Trump. He aired a TV spot on Election Day saying that Trump is backed by radicals.
Oh, wait. Now, if you don't like Trump, you're trying to destroy him?
Trying to destroy Trump, yes.
Well, I'd agree with him on that.
We're working on it.
He's not far from wrong on that point.
That is so funny, Rhonda. I gotcha. Anyway, yeah. So that ad that he aired a spot just on Election Day saying that his opponent was backed by radicals, and they flashed pictures of Pelosi and Sanders and AOC. It's kind of all very disgusting what they're doing down there.
That squad
Very
must be
disgusting.
so frightening to the Republicans. These women are totally out of control and self-possessed at the same time.
How dare they be
And
self-possessed?
women of color.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's always a good target for them.
Oh my gosh, you're listening to Waking Up. I'm Juliana Forlano here in the studio with King Downing and Rhonda Handsome. Now, if you don't know who Rhonda is, I'm going to tell you, because I'm just so happy that you're here that I forgot to read your bio.
Radio Rhonda.
Radio Rhonda, you are on every Monday on Fugel. John Fugelsand's Tell Me Everything on Sirius. What a great show that is.
I enjoy it.
It's so good. Such a good show. I mean, you get to meet a lot of really interesting people who are,
And he's almost as good looking as you.
oh, he is so good looking. I don't want to say. It's my whole life. I'm like, wow. How does he manage to be that good looking? It's just one of those things. It's too
And
bad.
still smart.
Yeah, really very smart and sharp. Oh, you've done stand-up at Radio City Music Hall, Carnegie Hall, Constitution Hall for the troops in Korea. You've been on Saturday Night Live, Showtime at the Apollo, Louis. This thing is so long. It's
I've
amazing.
been around the block, folks. That's all I'm saying here.
Women of a Certain Age comedy show.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I
Carol
love-
Montgomery is going to be actually taping a new Showtime special of women of a certain age.
That's
comedy.
amazing.
Yeah,
I love her.
That's coming up soon.
We
yeah.
should have her on the show, too.
Absolutely, she's something else. She's a force of nature.
I do want to say that it is obviously September 11th today. I'm not sure what the other TV stations are doing, if they're just re-traumatizing everyone by playing the footage in real time. I
Yeah.
remember they used to do that. Are they still doing that?
I don't know, but I lived right down there. I lived right down there in Tribeca, actually, just 8 blocks north of the Twin Towers, and
What was your day like?
it was a very crazy day because I was actually listening to Howard Stern, as was my wont at that time, and he says, "I'm not joking, folks. There is a plane
yeah.
in the World Trade Center." So I said, "Wait a minute, let me go downstairs," and it was. I could see it right there, and then I felt the heat from the second plane
Wow.
on my face, and it was.
Did you run?
No, it was a nightmare. No, I was stunned, and I actually was going to the Village to direct a piece because I also do theater directing, and by the time I got to the theater, I had a direct sight line of the second building falling down. So it was a horrible day.
That was my first day of graduate school. I was at NYU, and everyone was just standing. And I remember the sound of the plane going overhead, and everyone standing watching the building on fire from, like, under the arch. And then at one point, everyone started running and screaming, and people weren't sure why. So everyone it was really interesting. But the building had fallen, and that's why everyone just panicked in that moment.
Some people were saying that it was a movie, and I said it didn't feel like a movie because I felt the heat. And then I remember just being on the subway crying because I knew something horrible had happened, but I was trying to get to work, and I got
Howard
there.
Stern stayed on
Yeah.
for hours
Yeah.
covering
Yeah.
live, and a great job he did. You can actually go back in the archive and hear that. And I just listened to a podcast where he spoke with Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien has a great podcast out now. It's called, I don't know, Making Friends with Conan O'Brien or something like that, where he talks at length with people. And the one he did with Stern talked a lot about what Howard Stern did and how he handled that that day,
Yeah,
which was
he
a big
just
deal.
turned on the serious button and dealt with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that button,
Yeah.
comedians.
Right.
And so it was really interesting to see his depth at that point in time, and it was amazing. But I do want to say that we just pass on our thoughts and condolences to the families who may be listening, who have lost people.
The thousands of families who suffered.
And who are still suffering to this day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're listening to Waking Up. We'll be right back after this musical break in the studio with Rhonda Handsome and also King Downing. And coming up after this, Alexander Kaufman will be joining us. Stay tuned.
Under the normal rules, I'll be out in 2024, so we may have to go for an extra term.
Well, this is really beautiful. This will find a permanent place, at least for 6 years, in the Oval Office. Is that okay? Should we go back to 16 years? Should we do that, Congressman? Can we have that extended?
We ran one time and we're 1-0, but it was for the big one. Now we're going to have a second time. We're going to have another one. And maybe if we really like it a lot, and if things keep going like they're going, we'll go and we'll do what we have to do. We'll do a 3 and a 4.
Up, I'm Juliana Forlano in the studio with King Downing and Rhonda Handsome.
Radio Rhonda.
Radio Rhonda. Do you prefer that? I'm going to call you Radio Rhonda. That's cool with me. Hey, it's going up to 90 degrees today. It's only 68 right now.
But it's getting humid already.
Yeah, I know. You have straight hair normally, right? Oh, boy. Yeah, well, at least we don't live in the rest of the country because they are having, like, tornado threats from, I guess, just west of New York all the way across the entire Midwest to like the Rocky Mountains.
Tornado.
Yeah, it's not good. Damaging wind and tornado threat. But not here. We're only getting blazing hot temperatures.
Good thing there's no climate change problems.
No climate change problems. And now... I know we said we had Alexander Kaufman, but he is not answering the phone. So we've got...
It's good to be the king.
Wow.
Please be seated and put your heads back on.
We
Scott
need to
Stringer.
write him some new jokes for the after the message from the king.
I have a
Scott,
whole list of them. I wasn't ready for this today, but
I'm
I'm
glad
we
I
jumped
could
in.
stop marching that.
Good. Feel free to add all of those in. We already used put your clothes back on. We've tried all of that stuff. So Scott Stringer, the city comptroller, has just released a report that looks at, despite the fact that there's been bail reform and the numbers of people on Rikers Island and those being held before trial is going down, the number of fees that are being charged people who go through the criminal justice system is racking up hundreds of millions of dollars and putting people back into jail. Some of the keys of the report is New York State imposes mandatory surcharges and fees of up to $375 on all who plead guilty for a crime. Yet the vast majority of the dollars collected are for non-criminal violations and non-DUI offenses. The criminal court, including the Supreme Court, collected about $5.5 million in mandatory surcharges just in 2017 alone. And low collection rates occur in spite of the court's expansive means to collect these court debts. So once again, the more they give, the more they take away, and folks are still going through the system now. And that was the same problem that happened in Ferguson, where folks were being put behind bars for not being able to pay traffic tickets. And then that added even more warrants and even more fees to the point where people were spending a long time in jail. So go check out Scott Stringer's website for that report.
But it's not just there. Many places use court system fines for income. I mean, for generating massive amounts of income. And the worst thing is that this really, really harms poor people, because the rich people aren't even going to claim that they're guilty of anything. So they're not stuck with that fine. And poor people have not just the threat of jail, but the fine, and then being put behind bars again for not paying the fine for something that started out as minor.
Not to mention, then they can put you into, like, if they keep you in jail forever, they're putting prisoners into like work camps where they make 2 cents an hour. And then how are you going to pay back that $30 ticket or however much it is, $100?
Yeah, it's called debtor prison. I'm glad you brought that up, because I did forget that statistic that the city rakes in about $20 million a year on this. And that it's been hard to figure out the number, so that's probably a very conservative
Huge
number.
income generator in many states.
It's not good. How can we stop that? Did Stringer have a good idea?
I didn't get that far.
Maybe he didn't get that far. All right, I got something funny for you here. This is from our good friend Randy Rainbow. Do you know Randy Rainbow?
I love his glasses.
Is he not the best?
He's a funny singer.
Here we go.
Well, it is a special day indeed, as I am joined now by the divine Miss T, our Lord and Savior, King of the Jews. Am I leaving anything out?
Brilliant, great.
Don't push it. Donald Trump, you have had a busy few days. G7 meetings, ongoing trade wars with China, bedbugs.
Fake news.
Let's see, you also sent out a controversial tweet saying that you are the King of Israel and told a group of reporters that you are the chosen one. How you doing? You okay?
The news about me is largely phony.
Mr. Not My President, you're acting quite bizarre. Ruling like a loon behind your Twitter avatar. Of all your recent antics, this latest one's a pearl. Now it seems you think you're God. Okay, whatever, girl. Your crazy's on full display. Wish you'd just go away. Take a vacay, hun. I hear that Greenland's nice this time of year. Dreaming of walls while the stock market falls. And now you're shaming the Jews. You say you're the chosen one, and I know what you mean. Chosen by the Russian Kremlin in 2016. When will this maniacal messiah complex pass? I hereby order you to get your head out of your ass and just keep selling us lies and attacking allies. Go on, you king of fake news.
It's fake news. It's disgusting fake news. I read a front page story in the Washington Post.
You're making no sense, bitch. Why are you still talking? It's making me nauseous. Everything you say is bullshit. Yes, everything's lies.
I don't think anybody's done more than me.
Close your mouth, and delete all your socials tonight.
The president has said he is the king of the Jews, the second coming of God, the chosen one.
He's not really interested in helping mankind. When it comes to Bible study, he's way behind. He can't walk on water or give sight to the blind, but he can change a falsehood to a fact with his mind. When they crucify him in the news, he starts tripping, and he kinda speaks in tongues when his dentures start slipping. Cheeto Christ, he's like if Jesus were pumpkin spiced. Cheeto Christ, stupid czar, mad tangerine-colored commissar. Wow, he prefers profanity to biblical psalms, but he can stop a hurricane with nuclear bombs. Ooh. He's praised by his disciples, though they've all been misled. And somehow he brought Mitch McConnell back from the dead. Ew. He golfs on Sunday, so at church he's not in attendance. And he makes 25 seem like the Christmas of amendments. He calls himself the second coming, I would have done. But according to these porn stars, he could not even come once. Don't you get it wrong? Don't you get it wrong? Don't you get it wrong? Give him what he wants now. Don't get it wrong. Cheeto Christ, he's like if Jesus were pumpkin spice. Cheeto Christ, stupid czar, that tangerine-colored commissar.
I think I'm doing a great job.
Don't you get it wrong? Don't you get it wrong? Let me hear you sing now. Don't get it wrong. Christ, stupid czar, who in the hell do you think you are?
God.
Clearly.
Oh, that was Randy Rainbow. I enjoyed that. We got a lot of very angry calls and emails after talking about this issue of Trump calling himself the king of the Jews last week. So don't call me. That was Randy Rainbow. You can call Randy. Anyway, we're going to open up our telephone lines to... we had a caller on the line just a minute ago. We hope you'll call back. 212-209-2877 is our listener call-in line. 212-209-2877. What kind of unusual fines have you had to run into while you were here in New York City? First of all, for me, you have to pay. I think it's a fine when you have to get a license from the state. If you should get a license, it should be free. I think so. I have to have
Not
a license.
for a gun. I think you
Well,
should
a gun, yeah, okay, that's different. But I meant I have a license to practice therapy. It's nice that they give you a license because then it's like she's not a quack or she's only partially a quack. But then you have to pay every I think it's every year or every couple of years.
Every year you have to.
I don't remember. It's been a little while since I paid.
And then there
My
are
license
people who
running
just
out.
use crystals and
Yeah,
they don't have to
and
pay.
they don't have to pay. On WBAI, here we are. So, that's that's a fee. Plus, I just got 2 parking tickets with a red light violation for going like 15.5 kilometers over the speed limit. I don't know. I was going like 5 miles over the speed limit to school zone, and I got 2 $50 tickets. And then yesterday, boy, they know exactly when your registration expires.
Yes.
They're like, how are they watching all the billions of cars that are in that town? So
They're-
another fit, that's $150. There goes my check.
They're going to start using surveillance that not only has your license plate, but it will also photograph who's in the car with you and start to predict where you're going.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Well, 1 out of 3 is already happening because they're using the license plate readers now.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they do take a picture of who's in the car. And the last ticket I got said something like, even if this isn't you, it's your car speeding in a school zone, so you have to pay it.
But they want
It
to
was
keep
me.
track of where you're going and what you're doing.
Yeah,
So
I knew
be
that was
careful out there, folks.
I knew that was coming when
Yeah.
they started to switch the Easy Pass to like the camera pass, so you
Yes.
can't get in and out of the city without your photo being taken of your car.
Absolutely. I got caught on zero vision. I made a left turn. I had the signal. I actually had the left turn signal, and I made a left turn. And suddenly, the police show up out of any place, and he goes, "Do you know why we stopped you?" I said, "You have a quota." And he goes, "You made a left turn there." I said, "I had the signal. I had a left turn signal." He goes, "But there were people in the crosswalk." I said, "I had the signal." And he goes, "Well, we have a zero vision policy, and you have to use caution whenever there are people in the crosswalk." I said, "I did use caution. I didn't hit a
Did you
damn
run
one of
over
them.
anybody?
I didn't hit any of them, But I
Did you get a ticket?
Yes,
Oh.
absolutely.
Did you fight it? I was going to ask you the same thing.
No, I just
I couldn't
acquiesced.
fight it. No.
They have a
Why
photo
not?
of my car.
Because he said I had turned into the crosswalk with the people there, and I had.
I think
Let me give
can't
you
do
a
that.
couple little strategies. Even if you're dead wrong,
King is a lawyer.
if you show up, there's a good chance the officer might not come in because it takes hours to come in out of patrol, to sit down at the courthouse and be there to say, yes, I observed her do this. So sometimes they don't show up and it can get washed away. Sometimes the prosecutor is like, you know what, we don't want to spend
But
an
they
hour,
keep
an
the
hour
amount
dealing
just
this.
below. Like, do you make $80 a day or however much the ticket was? Because it's going to take you all day to go,
Yeah,
To-
it's
to
a
do
financial
that kind of
decision,
thing.
definitely. But
Yeah.
it could be one of your, a day when you're really fighting mad and you want to do something about it.
Well, I wasn't fighting mad. I was
Okay,
just-
that's good.
You were just comedy mad.
I was comedy mad.
Okay, we got a caller on the line. Our number is 212-209-2877. Let's talk about these fees here in the city. Caller, you are on the air. Your name and where you're calling from.
Oh, hi. This is Eurythmic Bob from Brooklyn.
Eurythmic Bob.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Hello,
Hi.
Cousin Juliana.
Hello.
Yeah, you were talking about different fines and things like that. Now, I had an experience in my father also. I mentioned this to Malachi McCord one morning. If you're in a
I love that
store
guy.
and you do something stupid, like you accidentally put something in your pocket, it happens. You forget sometimes a
It
small
does happen.
item.
It does happen.
Now, they will know. They know darn well when you're actually shoplifting and when it's just a mistake. They know. So they're not going to have you arrested if they realize it's a mistake. But they'll make you sign a form which says, you admit you took something, and you never can come back in the store again. Okay, that's fine. But what happens is you get a letter from a lawyer, maybe a few weeks later, you have to pay a fine. You have to pay something like $70 to the store.
For that 50-cent comb you were just putting in your pocket
and
for 5
so
minutes?
you'll have to pay a fine.
Wow.
Otherwise, they'll have you arrested
Is
or
that
they'll
so? I
take you
didn't
to
know
court.
about this.
And I think this is an outrage. And the statement you sign, it says this is not an admission of guilt in a court of law. You're
It's
not
a shakedown.
But you have to pay that, cough up that $70, whatever it is, about $70. So I think we should contact the state legislature. I think it's a state law, and tell them to repeal this odious law.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Well,
The
it doesn't.
bodega, they put your picture up on
Hey.
by the cash register.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They publicly shame you in
Yeah.
the stores near me.
I just wanted to just say there's no law that says that a store can require you not to come back into the store again, and there's no law that says you have to pay some money to that store because you went through this. So there is no law. What you can do is you can complain to the Consumer Affairs Division about that, and your answer is that if they didn't reveal up front that you were going to have to pay these fines, then they're kind of. And you know what's funny? The same thing that Scott Stringer said. He said that people are pleading out and they're not realizing that all this extra money is going to be tacked on at the end. And sometimes it's changed people's minds. If I had known it was going to cost me $375, then I wouldn't have pled guilty and I would have gone to court. So
All of this is done in lieu of not being arrested. So they have that. They hold that over your head. So
Well,
this is-
there's still room. There's still some wiggle room because if they didn't tell you that ahead of time, then you get back in contact with the lawyer or you go down to the Consumer Affairs Division and you put in a complaint, and so few people complain that I have known people that I have advised to go there. You go online, you just type up something, and a lot of times they just drop it because they know that only 1% of the people ever actually complain. And so they have this little unspoken agreement. So give it a shot and let us know.
The notice they send you says it's a state law, though.
Interesting.
Well, if you want to email a copy of it or a picture of it to me, king@wbai.org, I'll look at it, but I am not giving you legal advice.
No,
this is
this
merely
is
a radio consultation.
This was a long time ago.
Oh, well, what did you do?
What do I do? I paid. I mean,
Yeah,
what
good
else
man.
you going to do?
That's what I would have done. I know, and sometimes just the hassle of it.
Well, it takes up
Thanks,
time,
Bob.
and it takes up psychic space in your mind, which is like pretty crazy.
I was literally down in the basement where the computer is, paying the parking tickets when our car was double parked on the other side, and the cops, for street cleaning, and the cops came by and gave me that third ticket.
Yes.
So I still feel like you can't get out from under all this paperwork.
Well, because they have to find multiple ways of getting your money from you, every which way.
212-209-2877. Why aren't they using our tax money that we actually pay our taxes for the things that, they're trying to support with all that cash?
Because they've got wars to do.
That's right. They have failing Trump businesses to keep up with. Hey, Rhonda. You said there was something you wanted to talk about while you were here, and now I'm going to give you the platform while we're waiting for our callers to call in. By the way, lines are still open if you want to talk fees, or even if you want to talk about 9/11, where you were that day, what's happening to you today. 212-209-2877, Rhonda.
Rhonda's just saying the GOP is full of hypocrisy. In case you haven't noticed, Sarah Palin's husband has filed for divorce because he can't stand living with her anymore. Now, that's a pretty good reason to file.
We actually have a clip of him.
Really? Let's hear it.
Hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
That's exactly what he said. And I'm tired of the hypocrisy because she came out with all of this family values BS. And of course, we know that, her daughter was having a child out of wedlock, which is fine, except if you're promoting yourself on family values, it's not such a great look. Her son actually assaulted.
Yeah, but aren't they like born agains or something so they can just say sorry? These are still our values. We're not living by them, but
they
sorry.
just go, my bad.
Yeah, my bad.
That's it.
We're sinners.
She speaks in tongues.
The
Remember?
son actually assaulted the father. Yeah, and they are just hypocrites from day one. And I resent the fact that she was actually considered and named as a possible vice president who could be sitting in the White House.
Do you think she would be a better president than Trump?
That's a tough question there. That is really tough. Because
or would we prefer her to Trump?
I would prefer her.
I would prefer her.
I would prefer
I don't know
her
if she'd
to
be
Trump
any better.
because I think she'd put more lipstick on the pig.
Rhonda didn't even know we have our sound effects board.
I love it.
Happening.
I love it.
Oh, that's
but
hilarious.
the hypocrisy, and what I think is she's just an example of the hypocrisy of the GOP.
Yeah, I don't want to judge. People sometimes have DV and their domestic violence in their home. Sometimes kids get pregnant out of wedlock. People get pregnant all the
These
time out of
things
wedlock.
happen.
But it's the hypocrisy that gets you. It's the same as like we're pro-life, but we're cool with war and we're okay with putting kids in a cage.
But a lot of the people who say they're pro-life, if they have a mistress who's in trouble, they don't have any problems with sending her off to get things cleaned up.
Yeah, tell me about it. Well, they're probably going to have to save one state for their Republican mistresses to go off and get abortions. I wonder if it'll be New York. Caller, you were on the air. Your name and where you calling from?
Hi, yes. The name is Michael Brooklyn.
Hi, Michael.
Yeah, talking about the parking ticket.
Yeah.
This is not a parking ticket. I was on the GWB one night, and there was a cop car with his lights flashing. So I waited to see what's going on, and I pulled up nearby and waited for instructions, thinking maybe there was something going on. And no instructions were given. Nothing happened. So I proceeded toward the toll gate. And all of a sudden, this guy pulls me over and says, "You're blocking an emergency vehicle." I said, "What?" He said, I said, I was alongside me, it was baloney. And this is in Fort Lee, and this is how they're raising money. I got an $80 fine for blocking an emergency vehicle. I called a friend of mine who's an attorney, said, you could fight it. I said, the hell with it.
That's what we said, the hell with it.
But this is how they're raising. I got other bogus parking. There were 750,000 bogus parking tickets issued, and there was a class action lawsuit against the city, and I think they lost it. And this is how they're raising funds. This is the new way. I have to call, civil asset forfeiture. You're familiar with the term civil asset. So $4 billion last year was stolen from the public. There was an article in the New Yorker about it. A woman had a little Mexican restaurant, and she would deposit her cash at about $8,000. That was her trigger. She figured it's time to deposit. The IRS charged her with structured depositing, which is a term meaning you're avoiding the $10,000 trigger. When you deposit that much money, it automatically gets reported to the IRS. They seized her restaurant. She had to hire a lawyer, and she got it back. She had to fight it. This is common.
Michael.
Some people in Texas were going on a trip.
Michael, I wanted to ask you a question. You said that there was a suit. Did you say that suit was in Fort Lee?
Not a suit. No. I said I got ticketed in Fort Lee.
No, you said you got ticketed, and then there were a whole lot of people that filed a class action suit.
That was a whole other issue. No, that was something else. That was
okay.
Months later, that there was a class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing this rampant. It's rampant.
It's rampant. You're right about that. Michael, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. We have some other callers calling in, so we'll see what they have to say. 212-209-2877 is our call in line. We're taking your calls today.
Great.
We got Rhonda in the studio.
I love your audience.
Yeah, I know. They're the best.
And they're very smart.
They are very smart.
I love smart
and they're
folks.
Engaged. I love it. Caller, you are. Don't let us down. Caller, you're on the air. Your name and where you calling from.
Roscoe in West Harrison.
Hey, Roscoe.
Schools who don't yield to pedestrians in crosswalks and speed in school zones should be locked up and their cars taken away. They kill bicyclists and pedestrians.
Did you get hurt sometime?
Roscoe.
Oh, he's mad.
I had the light. When I'm a pedestrian and the car has the light, I keep my butt on the curb, Roscoe. But I love you anyway.
I did accidentally speed in a school zone. I didn't realize it was a school zone because there was no school nearby. So I'm not sure. It wasn't like it was in front of actually the police department on, I think, Coney Island Avenue or something. So
flaunting it.
You should have thought they were
right.
I don't know. When it's 5 miles over, it's hard to know if you're really doing that. It's not like I was going 70 miles an hour. But,
really?
Hey, I agree that we all have to be very careful in this town.
We have to be careful, but the thing is, pedestrians have to watch themselves as well. I'm a very vigilant pedestrian. I give cars their right of way when they have the light.
I don't cross until they're at a full stop.
That's right.
Honestly, I'm like, no. My husband's like, we have the signal. I'm like, are you crazy? We're waiting until the brakes are 100% on.
Famous last words in the hospital.
Let's go to brunch, Roscoe.
I had the light. All right, caller, you are on the air. Your name and where you calling from?
Yes, my name's David. I'm calling from Manhattan.
Hi,
I just wanted to I would want to offer maybe we should make instead of just 9/11, just 3 days after 9/11. A remembrance when Chrissy Todd Whitman told New York City and the world that the air is safe to breathe, despite the volatile VOCs, the lead, the asbestos, the burnt incineration of God knows what was in those buildings.
The ashes of bodies.
Yeah.
And right. But the main thing is these volatile compounds that were burnt to a crisp and then made into fine dust. All those children in the schools nearby, all those people living there, the first responders, the people that came to help out. And this, they predict, by 2060, will contribute to about 300,000, and I'm not exaggerating, this is what they claim, there will possibly 300,000 either early deaths or illnesses where once you get those particles in your lungs, the party's over and into your blood.
Yeah, I lived in Brooklyn at the time, and people were watching what was happening from the promenade. I wasn't, but when I got home that day, the whole apartment, because we had left the windows open, if you remember, it was such a beautiful day. We left the windows open. It was covered with dust. So it's not even just people who were right down there. Of course, the first responders are obviously the ones who were right in there. And
continue to suffer.
The hypocrisy
And
of the
die.
fact that they were helping and they got sick, and then our government didn't want to support them.
Those police officers, there were a sizable amount of police officers, NYPD officers, that said during that week and during those few days that they quit, and they said, "Listen, this is not my job. I'm not going to be here and breathe this stuff and die, 25 years later." So suddenly we forgot everything we learned about environmental medicine. And, I just want to tell people to listen to the experts, to the officials. The water is clean to drink.
Yeah, like the pink one up in Albany. They just said that yesterday. The pink water up there.
Newark's
Yeah.
water is dead.
Newark water's fine.
Listen to the officials in Newark who, who didn't do anything for at least, Cory Booker did a great job for us in Newark,
Yeah.
He's a real guy. He really is going to find out that he knew about this, and he said, "You know what? Let's not paint this picture now because it's not going to look good for me."
That's a good idea. In 3 days, we're going to do a remembrance of exactly this. Thank you for that call. I appreciate
David,
it.
I just want to add a little context, because at the time, Christy Todd Whitman was the head of the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. So I just want to add that. And it wasn't until 15 years later that she finally admitted that what she did was wrong.
Yeah.
Right. She knew. Well, can I just make a statement?
Yeah.
Hello?
Sure, you're there.
Well, there's evidence. This is not a conspiracy. There are labs all over New York City and all over in America which actually test air quality. And the labs were told not to come out with any of their findings or they'll lose their licenses and their business. So everyone was forced to just
That's
go
why
with
we
the
need
line.
strong whistleblower laws to protect whistleblowers,
Yeah, but
because
if
we
you
need
have a
people to come
business-
out.
Yeah, but you have listen. There are a lot of giant buildings in Manhattan that have air systems, and they need to be tested every year, or every few years, because thousands of people live in that building.
Yeah, we know,
They're not,
David. Yeah, I appreciate
they're not
it.
water systems, but this is not like suddenly happened. Like, this is something that medical doctors knew. That people in medicine, in environmental medicine.
That's right. And it's really
testing
important to be
quality.
reminded, and I do appreciate the phone call on that, David. I appreciate it. It's important to be reminded. You can see there's still a lot of feeling and emotion around how the whole thing was handled.
Well, we have to be careful about the response, the quote, official response, because didn't it just come out that Wilbur Ross threatened the job of one of the people with the whole Alabama Sharpie Gate
Exactly.
event, to come
He
out
went
and
out
say,
to the National, the
NAA.
Meteorological Association
Yeah.
and said, no, you cannot tell us the real weather. If the president says there's a hurricane going to Alabama, you're getting fired
You
if
have
you don't.
to agree.
Yeah.
And
I mean, what are we talking about here? Is this not the march toward
fascism?
I think it's a quick slide.
This is totalitarianism when you're like, if the president says it, it's true.
Yeah.
Disgusting. 212-209-2877. Our phone lines are open. Caller, you're on the air. Your name.
Hey, is that me, Giuliani? How you doing?
Oh, who's this?
This is this is Charlie. How you doing?
Oh, you're still out
King
there?
Downey.
You're still listening?
Huh?
I have. Now you know the
Yeah,
rules
yeah.
now, right? About the calls.
What happened?
And please call her Juliana, not Giuliani. That's a
That's
sensitive word around here.
That's right.
King Downey, right?
King Downing.
Yeah, you got that.
Okay, and Michael G. Haskins in the background and the other person there. Listen,
The other
I got
person,
back-
Radio
Ilana.
Anyway, go
How
ahead,
you doing?
Charlie.
Well, I got back from Europe, and I got some great stories to tell you about fighting the white nationalists over there, but I don't have time for that. All these talks about these exploitative car fees and stuff and tickets and stuff, since we don't have a genuine progressive movement in this country, things are going to get a lot more exploitative.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know?
with you on that one.
A lot more. If we don't have anything to protect us, there's
Exactly.
nothing- what else can we do?
Charlie, what do you think we should do in order to make a genuine progressive movement in this country?
Wow, you know what you could do? You could start. Well, today's 9/11, right?
Well,
How
it
about
is.
getting Richard Gage in and finding out what happened to that third tower that went down that wasn't
that's
hit
still
by a plane
questionable.
that collapsed.
Oops, Tower
You know?
7. Yeah, Building 7.
Building
Still-
7.
Yeah.
That's
And
where all
every
the
time we
records were
talk-
for Enron, right? I think I remember.
Sure,
I'm not
sure,
kidding.
sure.
I think that's true.
I mean, nobody ever talks about this, though.
No, you're not
You know,
allowed.
and they got the science to back it. Get Richard Gage on.
Richard Gage, okay. All right. Hey, welcome back, Charlie. I wondered where you went
Okay.
off to. I thought you just, when we yelled at you and hung up on you the last time, I thought you weren't going to call in anymore. Nice to hear back from you. Okay. Caller, you are on the air. Your name and where you're calling from. Hello, caller. You're on the air on Waking Up on WBAI. Who's this?
Hi, it's Phil. How are you?
Hey, Phil. How's it going?
I'm calling from Jersey. I was just wondering, I haven't heard BAI get any of the scientists on and the engineers that know that 9/11 was no planes that took down the building. I mean, don't we all know that? I mean, it's like so obvious. And I know we don't have much education over here in the States, or engineering and mathematics. We're pretty far behind on that. But any normal person should know that a tin can flying around that ducks can take out of the sky cannot take down, go through, or blow through two skyscrapers and do any real damage to the skyscrapers. I mean, are we just going to sit here and ignore all of this? And why is the WBAI putting on all of these engineers that are signing their careers away as they have to in the United States and all over the world? Why aren't we hearing
Paul.
about how fake that was? I mean, it was not even, you see the CGI photos, you
Phil.
see these things, whatever it was, it certainly was.
Phil, I agree with you, but I just want to say that of all the stations that have covered this, WBAI has been the premier station that has covered this since 9/11 itself. So for all of those years, it's been on. And of course, as the years go on, it's not brought up again and again and again. But Guns and Butter has had it on, and a bunch of other programs
Also, we do have to
covered it.
worry about all the other BS that's going on since that happened. But I think it's great. Most of the, I sense a trend here. The callers are saying, you can't trust. Maybe don't trust the official report. Okay. Oh yeah. All right. So, where's our Alana? Jared Murphy's coming on, right? All right. Let's give him a call. See what's coming on at the 5 o'clock show. In the meantime, we can listen to Labor History at 2. One of my favorites.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1901. That was the day that Francisco Ferrer opened the Escuela Mardina in Barcelona, Spain. Ferrer was an anarchist and educator. He explained what he had hoped to accomplish with these new schools. He said there must be co-education of the different social classes as well as of the two sexes. Spain's literacy rate was only 15% at the time. The Catholic Church controlled the schools and the curriculum that was taught. Ferrer's idea of co-ed secular schools caught on. More modern schools opened in Spain. 40 operated in Barcelona alone. Soon, other modern schools opened throughout Spain. The Catholic Church and the Spanish government were not pleased with these new educational institutions that stood outside of their control. In 1906, after an anarchist threw a bomb at the king, Ferrer was held responsible. His schools were immediately closed, and he was imprisoned. When he was finally acquitted of the charges, he reopened his school. In 1909, Spain began drafting soldiers to help control the colony of Morocco. Workers protested by striking in Barcelona factories. The government responded with a crackdown that came to be known as the Tragic Week. The government sent in troops, took over the city of Barcelona, and killed perhaps as many as 600 workers. After the strike was crushed, 450 workers were sentenced to prison. 5 were executed. The last person to die was Francisco Ferrer. During the uprising, he had been on his farm outside of the city. Despite this, he was charged as being the leader of the insurrection. When facing the firing squad, his final words were reported to be, "Look well, my children, I am innocent. Long live the Escuela Moderna." Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com.
Awesome, right? I love labor history in 2.
I would have gone screaming, I was out of town. I was out of town.
And then there was this is like the anniversary of the teacher strike. This week we'll get that labor history up. There was a lot in labor history, but they only have it in 2. So labor history in 2, you can't cover everything. Right now we have Jared Murphy of Max and Murphy, WBAI's 5 p.m. show. is on the line with us.
Hello.
Hey, Jared, how's it
morning.
going? Good morning.
It's going well.
I put
It's
some of
going
your
well.
music on underneath. How'd you like that? Did you like that?
I like it. I like it very much. I play the bass in that song.
You do?
Oh.
That's
Sounded
so
great.
great.
Sounded
Facebook
great.
probably
Yeah.
won't kick us off the live stream because it's an original song.
What's the song and the name?
Exactly.
What's the
Copyrighted
song? The song and the name of your group?
The song is called MCM. The group is Fort Indy, and the song was written in memory of a work colleague of my drummer and guitarist. So it's the first song we ever wrote.
Jared, when are you going to give us some DVDs to give away on WBAI, or are you saving those?
Well,
for
I'm
your
working
show?
on the liner notes.
Okay, get on it. I know. Well, you got a lot of work to do to make Max and Murphy. What's coming up on the show tonight at 5?
Well, today, of course, September 11th, the day that changed so many lives here and all around the world, including how New York City is policed. And so Ben and I are going to have on John Miller, former journalist and now the NYPD's Deputy Commissioner for Counterterrorism and Intelligence, to talk about threats, how the city polices them, questions about surveillance, obviously civil liberties and oversight. All of that will be on our tablet and hopefully in what we hear from listener phone calls. So tune in 5 p.m. today, WBAI, to hear a discussion about New York City and policing post-September 11th.
Jared, that sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for putting that show together and for being on our show to preview it. 5 p.m., Max and Murphy. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You've been listening to Waking Up with Juliana Forlano, King
King
Downing. And in the studio with us,
Radio Rhonda.
Radio Rhonda, who will be here every other Wednesday.
Look at that.
We're very excited.
I am delighted.
It makes hump days so much more humpy. Excited about that.
Humpty
Oh, where's my Humpty Hump sound effect? I don't have that. We're trying to keep it's a family show. I noticed all our callers stopped calling once Charlie, the progressive strategist, decided. He always used to say, "Hi, I'm Charlie, the progressive strategist," and then he'd be like, "There's no progressive movement," and I'm like, "What happened to the fact that Professor Wolf is like on? I mean, just the fact that he's on Fox News now, that he is on, he's blowing up all over the place, and he talks about socialism and social economics, right?
Economics. I love what he has.
So we
to
do
say.
have a progressive
Oh,
movement
there's
now,
plenty of
Charlie.
progressive movements. And one movement I would like him to do is to stop naming you after the former mayor.
Yeah, people do that all the time. Giuliani. Maybe they're trying to connect me somehow.
No way.
We do have another caller on. Probably not, Michael, right? We out of time. Yep, we're seriously out of time.
Already?
I know. You just got here.
I have had so much fun
Good.
here with both of you.
Good.
I mean, this is really
So you will come back.
every other Wednesday.
Where can people call? Where can people go to see you perform, Rhonda? What's your next gig?
Oh, well, I will be at Otto's.
Oh, yeah, Otto's Shrunken Head.
Yeah,
That's
the
a great
Shrunken
place
Head.
for comedy.
But you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. or
Rhonda
go to
Full on Instagram.
Yeah, or RhondaHandsome.com and check out where I'm going to be. Yeah. But I want people to know that I'm also directing a piece called American Captives coming up in the United Solo Artist Show about Sandra Bland. So
We're going to talk about that in the next time you're on, and
Absolutely.
we will pitch the hell out of it.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
because I think that one's fallen off.
I covered United Solo last year, and I was
Oh.
planning to cover it for this year. So that's perfect. There's the connection.
there you
I
go.
love it.
Yeah.
I love being
It's
connected
it's
with
a
the king.
great.
I know the king.
Are you single? Who's single around here? Anyway, you're listening to Waking Up. I'm Juliana Forlano. It's been a joy to be here with King Downing, Rhonda Handsome, Alana at the keyboard, and Michael G. Haskins. We'll be back tomorrow with Charles Lynchner, if he does show up this time. Last time he ghosted and he made the show all wild. And Paul Kemp, so stay tuned for that. Have a great day.
Hi, this is Tom Hartman, host of the Tom Hartman Program. Join me every weekday afternoon at 2 p.m. for feisty debates, my take on the news and issues of the day, and some of the smartest callers in radio. That's the Tom Hartman Program every weekday afternoon at